All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Live SEO Support, where your two favorite SEOs in the universe, Christopher Egis and Nicholas Altimore, answer all of your pressing SEO questions live and without hesitation to ensure you get the maximum possible results for your work.
No hesitation, not once, not ever.
How are you doing today, Nick?
I'm doing good. I had a good amount of coffee, and I feel like, the issue with having like an appointment, like a live stream or something, is when the 1 hour to 30-minute mark comes up before we're about to go live. It's like you're in this limbo period because you can't get locked into anything. So you can do like these little busy work type things, right? Um, but then I find myself drinking coffee and maybe scrolling social media or something for around 30 minutes, sometimes maybe up to an hour before starting the live feed, because
Hey,
can't
man,
lock
no one
in.
said being a TV star is easy.
Yeah, for sure. I have a lot of respect for the greats of our time. Talking Nick Cage and who else is really good? Keanu Reeves.
Is he a TV star?
What?
Is Keanu on
Nick?
TV?
No. Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know if he should probably not, right? He's a big movie star.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and get down to it. Just a short warning, we might take off a little bit early today, guys, but we'll see how things go. But yeah, like
What you got going on,
you don't need to know about
Christopher?
that.
Interesting. He didn't even tell me. So, it's news to me too, everybody.
But like usual, yeah, just drop your questions in the chat and we will get to them. Yeah, first in, first out kind of priority. And yeah, we've got a backlog here as well, so we'll be getting into those. But yeah, if you're asking live, we'll try to get to those first. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and get down to it.
I know that's right.
Sorry, just 1 second. Oops. All right. Um, do bad links, or in the worst case, PBN links, punish your website? Or are you more safe when you mix bad quality links with pillow/diversified links along with quality links? um, all right, so yeah, we'll just start at the beginning. So first of all, I don't consider PBN links bad links at all. You just can't use them like you could, 5 or 10 years ago. You actually have to be careful with them. You have to use them sparingly. You have to use them intelligently. Um, and they need to make up a small portion of your backlink profile. Um, but in general, so do bad links punish your website? Just to start off, I want to say that bad links, we're talking about super like spammy kind of black hat stuff. They don't really seem to hurt your website in the same way maybe that they used to. I think Google has gotten a lot better with just kind of ignoring it, really, rather than punishing you.
Hmm.
That being said, they can definitely still hurt your website, and your chances get higher if you do other things that are seen as kind of unnatural, or you're basically trying to game their system. Like if you're not following like their affiliate guidelines, or if you have a ton of or if you're like keyword stuffing, or if your content is like super low quality, or all the pages or have affiliate offers, you have no informational content. So basically all the stuff that's coming out recently where you just have higher chances of hitting like algorithmic penalties, not manual penalties, but algorithmic penalties. If you have a bunch of this stuff and you have a really low quality backlink profile with a bunch of bad links in it, then I would say your chances of them hurting you go way up. Um, so then for the rest of your question, are you more safe when you mix bad quality links with pillow/diversified links? Absolutely. So let me go ahead and pull up my recent case study, which was very on point for this question. I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat here for you guys. But yeah, so basically, it was, I guess I'll pull it up on the screen too. Here we go. All right, so yeah. So yeah, in this case study, basically we started building links for a website, and here's the rankings when we first started. So the traffic and the keywords were just going up and down, up and down, up and down, and they're at pretty low amounts. I mean, it wasn't super low, but they basically couldn't get to any kind of steady growth or whatever. And yeah, their backlink profile was super bad. Like everything was bad. They had very little that was good in it. But it was still actually it was still ranking for stuff. It wasn't doing great, but it was still kind of there. So Google hadn't completely just shut it down or penalized it or whatever. And so what we did in the case study is we just started building lots of high quality links, pretty much to the homepage only. And because they had a lot of heavy interpage links as well, which is something a lot of people do when they start building, when they don't really know what they're doing with link building. They'll build super heavily to their inner pages with, aggressive anchor text and yeah, low quality links. And so yeah, then after some time, at the end of the case study, the traffic ended up looking something like this, which was just very solid growth consistently over time. So to answer the second part of your question was, basically, are you more safe when you're using bad links with good links? And so the question to that, I would say, is yes. That's the whole point of diversifying your link profile, is so that, okay, so maybe you have some bad links, but hey, you've got all this other good stuff too. So when Google looks at the overall picture, it's not an ugly picture. They say, hey, they did a bunch of good stuff, and maybe they got a little spam or whatever, or they hired some crappy provider, or they, whatever. And they just really tend to overlook it. And in this case study, actually, one of the things that we go over in the case study is that it actually, in a lot of cases, these quote bad links, we think end up helping you actually quite a bit in some cases. Like, do we think that the site would have had this kind of momentum if it didn't have its quote bad backlinks that were built before? And I can't answer for certain, but I'm guessing with a pretty high certainty, I would say probably not. And so what we're seeing here is the bad backlinks actually do a good amount of work. Now, I'm not telling you go build a bunch of bad links and then build good links on top of them. It's not a best practice. Can definitely cause issues. This one for the case study, this one actually turned around super quickly. It was pretty much, Google looked like it was just kind of looking for a reason to trust it, right? And we gave it that reason repeatedly, and it did quite well. But yeah, definitely not saying to go build a bunch of backlinks, and then just mix good in and hope for the best. Yeah, you have anything to add on that, Nick?
Yeah, touching on that, it's easier to add quote bad backlinks after you've done quality work.
So have
but
a bunch
still,
of good stuff, and then maybe add some bad stuff every now and then.
So yeah, so that's what I want to so yeah, from a technical standpoint, Chris, you're on point. Just from a broader picture, just a framework for the newer SEOs out there, what I want to kind of push is maybe get away, or not maybe, just get away from the concept of good versus bad links. And you're going to have a better picture on how to use these things, backlinks, which are essentially just tools, and consider them tools. They all serve their own purpose. So even when you look at a backlink that's quote bad, depending on the recipes that you learn to use for your success in the SERPs, some of these quote bad links may be good bits and pieces to add to your arsenal over time. And so, when we're considering adding spammy links, and this is advanced territory, right? So if you're newer, I guess, just what Chris said, don't go spam stuff. But if you are a bit more advanced, you've been around for a while, you've probably learned that over time, as an asset gets bigger, or money site gets bigger, and accrues more SERPs, accrues more backlinks, referring domains, etc., It typically does take on a little bit more, quote, spam, for lack of a better word, right? In the form of directories, website aggregators, things that are just kind of pulling this data in. So if you start off building things really well, build it gradually, start getting momentum in the SERPs, etc. Sometimes the concept of using, quote, bad links, or just, a different type of backlink with a spammier link profile can be worthwhile when diversifying your backlink profile. So just worth noting there.
Yeah, so that's, like I was saying, it's not best practice to use this stuff. So if you're asking this type of question,
But daddy uses them.
yes,
Daddy
if you're asking the
uses
type
them,
of question, the
okay?
answer is pretty much stay away. But, if you're more of an advanced person, yeah, I mean, it can work. It's just you're kind of increasing your, I mean, you are kind of playing with your, your risk to reward levels and just
Mhm.
how confident you feel in what you're doing and stuff. So you're definitely upping the risk a little bit. But if you're doing everything else right, I would say the risk is somewhat
Yeah, I
minimal.
would.
But the point is you need to understand what you're doing so
Yes.
well that you understand the bad stuff that you're doing and the small level of risk
Bad.
it is compared to all the other stuff. I'm just trying to be very
Yeah.
careful not to not I don't want
No, yeah,
anyone doing
yeah,
it.
for sure. And you're absolutely right. And I want to preface too that typically if I am using a more spammy type of backlink, it's going to be to diversify my backlink profile. Oftentimes just to be more efficient, with the amount of backlinks I can create, and having them be cost effective as well. But again, that's over time and it's used to diversify, not so much to game the system and gain momentum in the SERPs, if that makes sense.
I'll,
So
I'll just
yeah,
add one more thing to kind of finish off, just to confuse you a little bit more, is I
nice.
feel like people have misconceptions about what good links are and what bad links are.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
something we see repeatedly,
Yeah.
just people not really understanding the difference between a good link and a bad link, and they basically have their standards of good link having to be like absolutely perfect versus the real world where there's variation in everything and lots of things can help your SEO. But yeah, so won't get into that too much more in depth. So just to reiterate, bad links don't really punish your website that much. Google kind of ignores them to a large degree, unless a lot of other stuff looks bad too. They can definitely hurt you, and especially if you're doing other stuff like being really manipulative, using lots of exact match anchor text and maybe just hitting like inner pages tons of times with those exact match anchors without any homepage links and natural linkers. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, and if you've got a 5-page website, and you're trying to muscle it up with exact match anchors and nothing but spam, you're not going to go anywhere. Okay, so that needs to be shut out completely.
So yeah,
You know.
Google ignores it a lot for the most part. You can still get yourself in trouble with it. And yes, for your second part of the question, when if you have a bunch of bad links mixed in with a bunch of good links, it definitely helps you out, which is what we do. And like I showed you in the case study, if we take over link building for a site and had a bad backlink profile, our first order of business is just lots of natural stuff, lots of homepage links,
Yeah.
lots of good anchors. We're just basically changing the mix so that there's a larger percentage of good stuff in the mix than the bad stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um,
But also just to clarify, like if you sign up with MLB or something like that through Sir Links a lot, we don't use any of these maybe spammier tactics that I would use on a personal
oh yeah,
affiliate site.
yeah, definitely not.
Just FYI. So you're never going to join up and then see us taking these kinds of
Yeah, it's
risks.
more
We
like
exclusively work from the good
more
stuff
like a
here.
personal project
Good
type
stuff.
thing.
Higher end tools here.
All right. Yeah, hopefully that helps, and we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. All right. When it comes to growth of a site, what is more important, links or content? For example, a 100-page site with 10 links or a 10-page site with 100 links. Um, we get kind of questions pretty similar to this pretty often. And maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or maybe 5 or even less than 5 years ago, I would probably just tell you backlinks. Like backlinks is just back. You can just
Well,
brute force with backlinks, but that's not how
hold
things
up
are
though,
now.
because it's like,
Well,
I
let
mean,
me answer here. You know,
go ahead.
backlinks used to have, I feel like used to be able to get away with a lot more in the past with just backlinks, whereas now it's not really the case. I would put I would put content on the same weight as backlinks. Like if you're not covering, if you don't have a good amount of supporting content about a topic, if you're not matching search intent, if you don't have quality content, if you don't have, if basically all your content stuff doesn't tick the box, you're gonna have a lot harder chance of ranking stuff, even if you have a, very heavy, very solid link building campaign running. Um, so yeah, in today's like day and age, as far as links versus content goes, I wouldn't think about it like that at all. I would think about it as you have to do both of these things. And if you're not doing both of these things, you're going to make it considerably harder for you. Um, yeah, that's just where I stand on it now.
May I, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, so given whatever timeline, you've never been able to rank anything without content, right? So hypothetical, before you get started on anything with a website, like you need to preface content. What is this site going to be about? What is the niche and direction we're
Yes, you
taking,
have to
etc.,
have
right?
pages and articles to
Yeah,
rank.
yes, right. So it's like if you
I'm not saying
the
you.
question though, the question is like which one's more important? Well, okay, if I have $10,000 and I can only, for the first 6 months of a website choose content or backlinks, then you've got to go with content. And
Sure.
hypothetically,
You need something to
um,
rank.
you need to take the content seriously as well. I remember when I first got started, it's like I would look for every hack not to worry about content. I would spin stuff. I would just, throw whatever at the wall, and hope it stuck. And we didn't have certain tools that I like to use now, like Surfer, um, things like that. So we were just like kind of adding 500 to 1,000 words at a time. We might look into Screaming Frog or something here and there. But for the most part, we were just taking kind of crapshoots at stuff.
Just have your
And
keywords in there, blast some
yeah,
links
yeah,
at
you
it.
just stuff them in there, or sometimes we would stuff them at the bottom. I'm talking about like the first, probably little over a year that I was doing SEO was I was really trying to make some of this garbage stick. And I feel like a lot of people try to do that, and then they get into realizing that even if you do get people onto your website, if it's crap content, you're not going to convert worth a shit, etc. So it's kind of like, what was the purpose of doing that? So yeah, I mean, even though I'm heavy on backlinks, that's to me, it's incredibly important. Yeah, you have to take content seriously if you want to be a real SEO, and especially if you want to have longevity in the SERP. So, just like everything Chris said is right. It's just he was asking specifically which is more important. Well, I got to say content.
Okay, so for his specific question, where it says 100-page site with 10 links
Hmm.
or a 10-page site, like for most cases, I can't think of any case now where a 10-page site is actually like legitimate.
Local,
Yeah,
maybe, right? Like local
yeah.
with citations and stuff like that. But
Okay.
on the real, I would rather take the 100-page site with the 10 links.
For sure, for sure. Like yeah, unless you're like some super small kind of like local type thing and super low
Yeah.
competition and just there isn't much to, you got like one service or in one location or whatever, um, maybe that kind of deal. But for most people that are watching this, our the large majority of our audience are affiliate marketers,
Yeah,
um,
and we are. So
and we're affiliate marketers as well. Like a
one
10-page
second.
site just isn't going to cut it. Like you could do 10 pages about like a very small section of like a very small like subtopic about a certain type of product you're pushing or whatever. Like so if the question is 10 pages and start getting a bunch of links, or do 100 pages first before you start any links, definitely like Nick said, go for the 100 pages first. because 10 pages is really nothing. But in general, you know, what you can do is you can start doing content harder out of the gate. And what you're going to eventually do, if you've niched down in any kind of way, is you're eventually going to start hitting a line of where you don't have much more content you can write. You're going to be updating your content a lot more often. But yeah, you're going to hit, depending on what your niche is, if you're not super broad, you're gonna start actually writing most of the content for their site. But yeah, and you're gonna be updating, and then you can go a lot heavier in links at that point in time. But I wouldn't say don't build links up until that point. You could just maybe have it as a somewhat smaller portion of your budget while you're still kind of fleshing the site out more fully, before you start kind of maybe having an equal mix of backlinks and content. Or if you run out of content and you're just doing a lot of like edits and updating all your content, then you could go a lot heavier on links and hardly, not spend too much on content at that point. But yeah, I wouldn't say one is more important than the other at this point. I would say they're both extremely important in 2022, for ranking stuff. Just things have
Yeah,
changed a bit.
I don't know if you touched on it, but like one of our favorite types of domains to get in on MLB are these huge sites where people have extensively worked on content, but then, they didn't have the networks to get the backlinks they needed, et cetera. Because as soon as we start adding backlinks to these sites that are kind of resonating in the SERPs but don't have the power behind them, that's kind of an easy recipe for success.
And on the flip side of that, one thing we hate is when we get sites in the, we don't hate it, of course we like the business, but we'll get a site in the MLB. It doesn't have much content. They're not really adding content to it. They're not giving the site any love.
Yeah.
And you can, and from the get-go, we already know exactly what's going to happen. They're going to buy links. They're going to probably wait 1 month, and they're going to say, well, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they're,
These links aren't strong. They're bad links.
you're like, you have to
Well,
do
sir,
everything now.
you
You
have a
have to do the other stuff.
10-page site with no optimized content, and you don't seem to care about adding any.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to flip the site real quick. Isn't
And
that
and
what
then
everybody wants?
and then on top of that, they think the
40x
backlinks.
multiplier.
And then on top of that, they think the backlinks are going to solve it like
Yeah,
instantly.
yeah.
They
I
don't
want
give
10 PBN links immediately, exact match anchors. I should be raking next week.
Yeah, hopefully that helps. All right, let's go to next. I think we got one on Facebook from Liam. What's your view on tiered links to boost the PBN network? Would you use one domain with a decent independent backlink profile to link to, say, 10 domains in the PBN network, and then repeat this 10 times if there are 100 domains in the overall network? So basically beefing up the PBN network with more tiered links. What do you think about that, Nick?
Well, first off, let's just address what you're saying here with, say, 10 domains in the PBN network. Okay, so would you use a domain with a decent independent backlink profile to link to, say, 10 domains in a PBN network? No. Okay, so
you're making a big footprint.
Yeah. So the issue with tiered link building to your PBN is you are purchasing these domains for the purposes of manipulating your backlink data, right? So when you're sourcing these domains, they should already have a pretty decent link profile, right? And the only reason you would really want to, tiered link build to a PBN would maybe be to like just give them a little update, or like a little, just you're essentially telling this the crawlers that well, we're still relevant, right? Like we still have a little movement. But honestly, I mean, I don't do that too often. And you need to make sure that, yes, if you're going to tier link build to your PBN, you cannot have any connectivity between the PBNs, or it has to be so diversified that it can't be tracked down. Otherwise, it's going to get de-indexed. And a lot of times looking for these little power hacks like that are great ways for somebody who's a little bit newer to creating a network of or a private blog network, to get them de-indexed. And, this coming from somebody who has de-indexed a lot of PBNs over the years, especially, when I first started out. And a lot of times, it'd just be because, boom, somebody ignored something that was going on in the background, whether it be plugins or something like that.
Sounds like you got something going on in the background.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, what Nick said, I don't really have much to add on it, so I'll just recap it. Yeah, first of all, you're buying PBNs because you're getting backlinks on the cheap. I mean, that's kind of like the purpose of the PBN, right? You're buying these domains that have pre-existing backlink profiles, and you're paying like a fraction on the dollar of what the website originally cost to get all those backlinks, right? Or time, however they got them. So building more backlinks to them, you're just kind of going the other way with things. I would rather just build more backlinks to my money sites, right? And then B, like Nick was saying, the biggest issue here is that you're creating a very visible footprint to Google to show them that these PBNs are already unnatural links. We like them, we use them sparingly, we use them carefully. This would be completely making it not careful, right? Because you're showing Google that they're even more unnatural than they already are, and they're getting links from all the same websites, right? You're establishing a pattern of ownership, basically, of some kind of manipulation.
I doubt you're going to be buying guest posts to your link build to your PBN, right? You're probably thinking of cheap links that you can like buy and kind of blanket across a lot of sites, etc. So
well,
yeah,
he was saying like from one domain with a good backlink profile to link to 10 PBNs. So it kind of sounds like more like a guest post, or maybe even like another PBN.
Yeah, it's like a tiered PBN. But then, so essentially, if you want to do that, right, it would be insanely expensive. But the way you would do it is you'd have one PBN.
From like a submission site or something. It could be free even, but you're still creating a footprint.
Yeah, or Web 2.0s are great for tiered link building to PBNs if you want to do that, right? But only this Web 2.0 can only point to this one PBN. It can never point to multiple, right? So they each have to have their own separate network backing them in order to be diversified enough to where you wouldn't have a footprint.
Yeah. And just, I'll just reiterate, I wouldn't really focus on trying to beef up your PBNs, just focus on other types of links, focus on your guest posts, your niche edits, maybe some haro links, maybe even creating some kind of content, to attract links and doing the whole content marketing thing, which there's a lot of different ways to do.
Technically for the second part of your question, if you had 100 domains in the network, you would actually be looking to get them each, between 5 to 10 links, hypothetically, for tiered links. So you'd be looking at doing like 5,000 links, right? Oh, 500 links. Sorry, bad math. 500.
Hopefully that helps, Liam. Let's see what we got next. Whoops. I accidentally just opened up something. Not need that now. Here we go. Actually, we'll do this one last because it was a joke question, but I actually still wanted to answer it. All right. Hey guys, I was wondering, can you 301 redirect an H domain to a hub page that connects to a topic cluster, as long as it fits the topic cluster's topic and the overall topic of the website? Hand this to our resident 301 expert, Nicholas Altimore. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, so great question. Back in the day, back in the day isn't that far far from here, maybe like 3-4 years ago, I guess, right? Yeah. But anyhow, back in the day, I used to like 301ing to category pages, and so did a lot of people, and it kind of spread like wildfire for a little period of time. And after that, bit of gaming the system, Google caught up with it. I haven't done it since then, and I would advise just not doing it. What's better practice is just finding very relevant 301s to redirect directly to your homepage. And then if it was heavy on interpage links, rebuilding those old URLs, and then 301ing anything to kind of like a similar kind of post. And you're going to get more out of your 301, and you're going to be able to get it to work more. Not to say that you couldn't get what you're talking about to work, but in my experience, and I use 301s a lot, 301s have gotten kind of more topsy-turvy in the way that they that you kind of get reaction in the SERPs, and sometimes they can take quite a bit of time. And the more unnatural it seems, the less likely it's going to take or not cause some sort of volatility issue. So best practice, I would not 301 a domain to an inner page, which is essentially, what you're asking. Regardless of whether it's a hub page or something else, definitely not something you want to rank for. But hub page if you're going to do it or test with it at all.
Yep.
Versus something you're going for keywords after.
Yep. I don't think I got anything to add on that one. Used to be a thing, now not so much a thing. Try to keep things pretty natural. All right. Let's see what we got next. On a new note, is it easy to switch hosting? And if you do switch hosting, do you lose any positions in the SERPs? I'll hand this one to you too.
Okay, well, there should not be any issues. Typically, things that could go awry, or maybe you
answered this one last week, actually.
Yeah, we've definitely done it in the last couple weeks, but whatever. So maybe if you go from a high quality hosting provider to a low quality hosting provider, it creates some volatility. Maybe, it's in a more bad neighborhood and there's like adult websites, et cetera, on the same IP address as you. So that could be an issue. Maybe you've got SSL or something like that with your website and you screw up the migration. That could cause an issue. Or lately, a couple of things we heard about was just hosts having indexation issues.
Yeah.
And I won't name them because, this video is going to live on, but it's been talked about in our group if you want to get in there. SEO Roundtable. Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe for the first time today. So, that could cause a problem, though it is very rare. Or just a migration screw up in general, if you're not seamless in how to do it, you could run into issues. So I guess, here's the blueprint. I have my old hosting, it's quality, but I want this one because it's giving me a better deal, but it's of high quality. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a backup of my website. After purchasing the hosting, I'm going to then migrate that site over, right? And I'm going to have it there. And then I'm going to switch my name servers to the new hosting. And that will create a seamless transition that shouldn't create any volatility in the SERPs.
Yeah, so basically, as long as you're crossing your E's, your T's, and dotting your I's, you should be fine. And as long as you're not, you didn't pick some really bad host that's doing something weird or having some kind of technical issues or whatever, you should be fine. But yeah, it's definitely something you want to be careful with, though, right? Because it's not like super duper complex, like Nick said. You're basically copying the site over to the new host, right? To their hard drive essentially, and then you're just switching the name servers over. And as long as you make sure that nothing got kind of flipped around or any kind of settings changed in the mix, you shouldn't have any kind of ranking losses or anything like that. Anything more to add, Nick?
No, I think that's about it.
All right. Looks like we got one from Blue Apple on YouTube. Blue Apple, like
my favorite kind.
Kind of like Jay-Z's daughter, Blue Ivy, Illuminati, but an apple. All right. I've also got a blue hat on today. I don't know if you noticed, but this is not normal.
Did you get a new hat? What do you got there? What's that say on it?
Patagonia.
Oh, nice.
I found it in my closet.
Great
actually.
company.
I forgot I had it. I normally like black hats. Not that I only do black hat SEO or anything, but like black
Is
hats.
that a metaphor for something? God, he's so mysterious and dark.
Um, all right, so here we go. Some of my competitors have had their domain longer. How big of a factor is this trying to rank higher than them? So, okay, so domain this is kind of a weird, a complicated question, but domain age in itself, I wouldn't really say is a factor. It's more so like how long has the content been up, and so basically how acquainted has Google become with the content that's on the site that's been up for, occupying positions on their rankings. And so basically how much do they trust it and stuff, along with the amount of backlinks that the domain has accumulated over the time that it's been alive. I wouldn't say that age itself really matters, but definitely, especially for like more like high competition stuff. If you're putting up a new article on it, it might take you a while to rank for it, especially depending on like what your domain's authority is. Um, yeah, so like article age, I would say it can have some kind of effect, because some stuff it seems like Google really wants to kind of have an eye on it for quite a while for it to move, especially in the high competition stuff. But then again, at the same time, I feel like they don't just look at domain age as kind of a thing. It's more like article age and the authority of your site overall that really matter more. What do you think about that, Nick?
Yeah, well, I mean, so you're right in that, because if you pick up a website that who is says was registered in like 2011, right? Just because it was registered doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be potent. But if you look in archive.org and maybe it's got a long history of being in the SERPs as a legitimate business, it hasn't been dropped. It didn't have too long a period of going down before being resurrected, etc. It's going to have more power. Like if it never has those gaps and it's from 20 years ago, then obviously that site is going to be more powerful because it's got a history of existing in the SERPs as whatever it's been the whole time. If it was something that was bought in 2011 but never built out, then I don't imagine you're going to get a whole lot of benefit out of it just being registered and sitting over time, right? So those might be a couple of things to consider. Has it been active in the SERPs over time? If so, you'll typically get a little bit more benefit, like even if it's just in the form of faster movement in the SERPs when adding content or something like that.
We'll say also that like especially for some like kind of like higher search volume kind of stuff. um, I feel like it's hard. Basically, it's essentially harder to like dethrone stuff that's been up there for a while.
For
Like
sure.
Google kind of gives it like the benefit of the doubt. Like even maybe your authority is starting to get higher than theirs, maybe your article has more backlinks, maybe even covers the topic more fully. It's like they still give this kind of this older stuff that they've grown accustomed to and built a level of trust with. They still give it like this benefit of the doubt. There could
Hmm.
be other stuff that's coming into play here, like maybe they just have all this data on maybe like engagement metrics with the content and stuff, and so yours doesn't really have that kind of data yet, and so maybe it's weighted because of that. I don't really know, but I will say it can be harder to dethrone that stuff that's really occupied those high ranking positions for a while. Um, but yeah, just realize that it does kind of work like that. But domain age overall, I wouldn't really say is too much of a thing. I mean, but yeah, it is kind of a thing.
Yeah, it
That's probably the
is.
worst answer
It's
I've
just
given today.
it's all right. It is a thing. It's just it's not the main variable when you're talking about the timeline. It's more about what's gone in through that timeline, right?
Yeah,
What's
exactly. So
happened
your
through
your
that timeline.
authority,
Yeah.
yeah, the trust you've established with whatever articles you've had up for that amount of
Hmm.
time. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, because
just
I
just
mean, like, just going on to something that like came up. I was having a conversation with somebody about it. I've taken like old PBNs that I bought that I just didn't really give much thought to, and then I'd throw them in Aris and be like, oh, wow. Um, this thing has quite a bit of trust, etc., right? Like, and then I'll convert that PBN into an affiliate website. And I can take that momentum based on some trust factor that's there, right? And kind of roll it. So yeah, just it's more so dependent on what it's done in the SERPs than even like what's existed on the URL, I guess.
Yes. So just to kind of sum it up, um, don't worry about a site having a lot being a lot older than yours. Like maybe the site's 10 years old and yours is 5 years old. Like 5 years is a old site, or so don't worry too much about the domain age. Just know that it can take longer to basically take over articles that have been ranking for something for a long time. But it's still very possible, and that domain age is not going to be the deciding factor on that. You're the up and comer. It's going to be your authority. It's going to be the backlinks to that specific page. It's going to be how users are responding to it once Google starts testing you out for it. And yeah, it'll probably take you a little, you'll have to outperform them basically to beat them. Anything else, Nick?
I think that's about it.
Cool. Let's see what else we got here. So we got about 15 minutes left, guys. So definitely.
Oh, so you are going to make full time.
Maybe.
Okay.
All right, let's see what we got. This is a funny question, but I wanted to answer it anyway. Do you think camel toe products are good products to sell? Maybe drop shipping. So I thought we would just talk about like how do you know like what's something good to sell? Something we don't really talk about too much, but what you can do is you can go look at the websites that have that are sell sites like Flippa or Empire Flippers, whatever, marketplaces where people are selling their websites, and you can see how much they're making, right? You can look at basically the kind of investment they put into the website as far as how many backlinks they have, how many pages of content they have, like how great the site looks, how it's ranking and all that. And you can look at what kind of money it's making based on all of those things, and decide if it's a worthwhile investment for you to enter that niche or whatever, or maybe even buy a website in that niche, right? So if I wanted to look at camel toe products, that would be one of the good places to start. I'd be looking at how other websites are doing, what they're selling for, how much money they're making on websites like Flippa and stuff like that. And then going and checking out some affiliate offers and kind of just gauging it as far as what kind of traffic volume searches you'd be targeting for that kind of stuff would get, and how much you think you'd be making for sale and that kind of stuff.
1.5 million search traffic for camel toe direct, and prevent camel toe. No, sorry, camel toe is in like the direct SERP.
Okay.
Prevent camel toe 880 a month. You might be able to get in there. I mean, there's obviously some sites that are catering to this. Yeah, definitely. They make pads and stuff like that I guess they sell on Amazon.
A more pronounced camel toe.
Yeah, and I remember on Instagram, I think I saw a trend or something like that was going around. Yeah, anyhow, probably TMI, but
that could actually be a pretty niche, funny little sniper site.
It's a niche, and so I remember early on, whose course was it? They did an example of something like this. It was good, but just going to show that even obscure search queries can lead to nice profitable little nooks and crannies, right? So even though this is a joke, even though it's funny, I would really love it if this inspired a couple people to maybe look in there and try and go after the SERP and then relay it to us.
Yeah, it'd actually be a pretty funny little sniper site, just dealing with a bunch of camel toe related topics.
Yeah, or even, just like...
you'd be the authority on camel toes.
Yeah.
Cameltoeauthority.com.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's good.
but yeah, that's basically, it doesn't have to just be camel toe. Basically, any type of product. That's how I'd go about looking, um, if something would be worthwhile for selling or not. You're looking at search volume, you're looking at affiliate offers, and you're looking at places where people are flipping websites, and you're seeing how much money they're actually making compared to the amount of content they have, the rankings they have, the amount of backlinks that went into their site. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Looks like we got another one here on YouTube. When adult competitor website, so I was looking at a competitor, I guess, in the adult niche in Ahrefs, and they have a lot of backlinks. Anchor text example. I'm not really sure what you're saying here about the anchor text. Do you understand that, Nick?
Yeah, just that it seems like he's saying that there are spam anchors, right?
Okay,
That
just random
aren't
stuff.
relevant to anything. So it would essentially be like a pillowing style anchor, completely random, most likely, computer generated, bot generated.
So anyway, okay, so basically what I'm seeing here is it's an adult website, the competitor. They have a ton of backlinks. Their anchor text looks spammy and auto-generated. They have 2,500 referring domains, and the point is how to overcome them in 6 months. The point is basically build more links than them, and have similar or better content than them. That's how you overcome them. It's not.
Well, well, okay. So, I mean,
You have to
these
do what
links
they're
though are
doing,
not
and
going
but
to,
do
like,
it better.
if you're using our backlinks, then you're not going to need, well,
Yeah,
chances are, right? You're not going to need to have more backlinks than their spammy ass backlink profile, right? Because the quality is going to outdo this kind of mass,
but
manipulation that
a
they're
lot of
doing.
times, this mass manipulation stuff just skyrockets
Yeah.
straight to the straight. It's a high risk, high reward type
It's
thing,
also, yeah, it's
and
adult, so
and
you
so
can get away with spam.
their plan is basically they know it's going to get penalized, they know it's going to come crashing down, but they're going to rank really high for a short amount of time, and they're going to make money, a lot of money in that short amount of time. And maybe the investment, because it's all this spam kind of black hat stuff, maybe the investment wasn't too high, and when that comes crashing down, maybe they're already working on 2 or 3 more that are just going to rocket up and do the exact same thing, right? And they'll just do it over and over and over. But yeah,
Being that,
sorry,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to say on that. If they're doing
Yeah.
that, you might even, depending on what the niche is, I won't say you have to do that to beat them, but if they have accumulated a certain amount of basically authority with Google, if they think they're that good in such a short amount of time, if you want to beat them in 6 months, you might not be able to do that with conventional link, uh, best practice link building. You might,
Yeah.
for certain niches, you might have to do this aggressive like black hat stuff to try to beat them out, right? I'm not saying that that's 100%, but it's a possibility, right? But if you wanted to beat them with best practice link building, long-term link building, whatever, you might, like Nick was saying, you might not need the same level of RD because you'd have a different kind of link mixture, a different kind of signal you're sending to Google, basically, than what they're doing. Have anything else to add on that, Nick?
Well, yeah, being that they're in the adult niche, adult, you are going to find a whole lot more spam used, a whole lot more. It's just a different landscape, right? Not to say that you don't want these quality links, etc. But if I had to guess based on your question, I would say that those ABCDF 300NF type links, right? Those anchors kind of emulate anchors you might see linked to specific videos, right? Like that aren't going to have names, etc. And they're probably coming from places like forums. Maybe they've got a recipe of different forums they have access to that they can kind of blanket using bots. But essentially, even though it looks extremely spammy or it sounds extremely spammy to us, if we can kind of conceptualize what this website's about, which is content, right? Like in the form of videos, maybe pictures, than having a bunch of anchors that are very kind of broad or random. Can emulate what some of the bigger websites look like from a referring domain backlink standpoint as well. So maybe take some deep dives, not only into this competitor, but into other ones in the SERPs you're trying to position yourself in, and get a bigger picture of what you might need to do. Because if everybody's doing something similar to this, then chances are you're going to have to figure it out as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I do not think I have anything more to add on that. Yeah, and it looks like we're out of questions for today, guys. So unless you've got something, if you're still in the chat, if you're watching live and you got a question, go ahead and drop it real quick, and we'll do one or two last questions if you're if you're watching live. Or else we'll just go ahead and call it here. So I guess we can kind of just BS for a minute or two, Nick.
I know that's right.
Like, comment, and subscribe if you like BSing. Like,
Nice.
comment, and subscribe if you like my blue hat.
Nice.
Definitely, beyond like, comment, and subscribing, if you're watching on YouTube, definitely go join us over in our Facebook group. It's definitely the place to be, the SEO round table, or you could just search for Sir Links a lot and look for our group. Because the live streams are great and we can answer you live and we can actually talk to you, but it's only once a week, right? We're in the group answering questions every single day. We're posting stuff every single day, some tips, if you're going to do any sales or anything like that, or just new stuff we learn. So definitely head over to the SEO Roundtable if you're not in there already. Yep, not really seeing any more questions rolling in, and we're about out of time anyway, so we'll go ahead and just call it there. Yep, thanks for showing up, guys, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Adios.
Later.